Just a warning, I formatted this video series different than at the beginning of the video says. Just a bit of audio. For a test, it's just an audio test. I must arrest and I must attest that is truly not the best. Maybe it's good enough to get into the final product, because these rhymes have very good times. Well, fuck, I am leaving the audio test in the final product. I kind of like that, especially compared to, it's not like somber, but, you know, rest of the video is just kind of amending a few, not sure if mistake is the best word, just too high of an aspiration. Long story short. So, a while back, I was kind of discovering some scummy stuff that was pretty consistent with a lot of people in the commentary, like a subset of commentary video makers, the ones who act like they're nice behind a cartoon screen, that genre. This video isn't going to have flashy editing, and this video is long for a reason because it's like 8 video scripts combined into one. It's kind of a monstrosity at this point. I will have timestamps and description for each, segment, including videos, but also surprisingly long YouTube comments, like very, very long YouTube comments. Dear God, they are long ass YouTube comments. The big problem can be summed up like this: a lot of people criticize people for a living. A lot of those people end up getting criticism themselves. And it's a bit hypocritical after criticizing communities and saying you're being overly sensitive to them by daring to respond to, like, saying that they defend each other based on means they deem as petty. They turn around and do the exact same thing and no one really notices. They just make fun of others for being sensitive when they themselves kind of acted like bitches. Big problem with my video is that it took so long to just get around to starting it that half of the people I'm talking about have left the community entirely. So keep that in mind. I don't think anything they've done is still good. I think LS Mark has kind of redeemed himself, while Staxolotl seemed a bit vaguer in how he went about things. Also, Ellis Mark seemed like he was just kind of going off of instinct when Staxolotl. Well, we'll get to each one individually. Let's just say I'm not impressed with some. They criticize whole communities for daring to defend themselves about, I don't know, criticism and whatnot, and apparently intentionally create bandwagons, manufacture them amongst each other, but when people throw a single insult towards them, they seem to go haywire and make some of the stupidest excuses ever. Like, they always jump to the "you took it out of context" thing. It's kind of a bit of a joke almost at this point. But if anyone criticizes these people, you are being sensitive, and if anyone criticizes the people they are criticizing, that's reasonable. They're double standards, they're pretty awful. I'm not sure if any of them are even relevant today though, which makes this video's timing incredibly awkward. So instead of that, think of this as a warning in the future that commentary communities do this shit. Do not treat what they say as gospel. Look into everything they say and make sure you criticize the shit out of them, because they sometimes do this thing where they just take examples of times when they did take criticism well, but it was a tiny thing. But they take it worse than a lot of the people they've criticized, and they're absolute hypocrites about it. So, if anyone wants to journey through, I'm expecting several hours of content. continue, but if that was a good gist of it, you can turn off the video now. I'm partially doing this to just get it off my chest and not feel like I've wasted hours of my life with horribly fucking huge scripts. Speaking of which, I will try to make the rest of the video more scripted. Now for the tedious part of editing, which is putting video clips and then splicing them. So who should I start with? I think it'd be appropriate to start with Ellis Mark. Ellis Mark in particular has this nasty pattern of liking to play the victim after, criticizing others first. Oh my god, isn't this a haha joke? I'm hiding in a house from the oppressive animators.
Heard you were making another storytime video. You got some big nuts for a person who hides behind a cartoon.
Come on, isn't it all possible that I'm just passionate about the subject?
No!
Ha, look at their unreasonableness. I'll focus less on his very well received Game Grumps video, and that I mean it was probably what caused him to leave the community, in all honesty. But yeah, it's a gold mine. Check out this totally just a joke where he paints an entire fandom as being completely unreasonable and extreme if they disagree with him, literally about to execute him using puppy eyes. And
if you don't like Game Grumps in any way, shape, or form, it is law by the lovelies that you must perish.
Also, this isn't a misleading thing to say.
Celebrate the execution of Ellis Mark, who has committed the ever so heinous crime of hating Game Grumps.
So, well, hate is a strong word. I wouldn't say hate them per se. I just don't think they're very funny.
Silent!
Doesn't hate them per se, but later in the video...
But if Aaron is anything like how the stories I've heard describe him, then it doesn't surprise me how many people have joined and left Game Grumps. Like how supposedly after two of the hosts, Ding Dong and Julian, from Onlyplay said that the game they were funding was pandering, which it was. Aaron bumped up their office rent, basically forcing them to move out. I completely buy that Aaron is a malicious cunt, I wouldn't say. I completely buy that Aaron is a malicious cunt.
Silent!
One may say that's just him hating half of Game Grumps. But he also uses the whole JonTron fiasco, which, by the way, the confirmation for him leaving and the fight has never been confirmed, so please, I implore you to actually cite your sources, Marky Boy, because I have seen nothing to confirm one way or another that that was the reason. But I'm getting ahead of myself. He just does, make them all look like shitty humans by bringing up the JonTron thing.
So, because John said some questionable stuff on a live stream which he has since apologized for many times and clarifies he doesn't actually think that stuff, you won't let him on your show where you play games and tell dick jokes. Bravo, Aaron and Dan. We don't need John ruining the artistic integrity of the Game Grumps.
Once again, citation needed. That was no one... He just assumes that they fired JonTron because of that. Also, I feel like this episode was just to wank his hate boner against Aaron.
I'm still trying to think of the most racist thing I've ever done. There's gotta be something. Okay. We were.
You dropped someone off who was black. You had to say like nigger like 30 times.
Oh, yeah.
To get out of your system.
I remember when people got in an uproar about what John said, but I don't remember too many people remembering these wonderful quotes. Keeping in mind this subtle racism extended to Susie's Twitter where she said, "I'm sorry, but I've had nothing but bad situations with black people all week. Is it just the culture?" Yeah, I think John should stay away from these racists. Joking aside, I personally don't think John should ever make a return, because the show has become so watered down PC that John just wouldn't fit in with their current style of, humour. And I highly doubt he wants to be working under Aaron again.
But of course, Ellis Mark doesn't actually hate Game Grumps or the people working there. He just thinks they're unfunny. That's the only reason. That's what he said at the beginning of the video. These are... What do these have to do with comedy then? You do hate them, and it's not because of comedy, so stop lying. This whole thing is easily disprovable too, since he left 4 years before the live stream he was referencing. What the hell? Oh my god. Also, many people might defend Ellis Mark by saying that, hey, it's just a joke. You can't criticize a joke. Well, in addition to some evidence I'll provide much later, he doesn't think you can defend jokes either. Hell, he even says that excusing things with jokes is a bad idea after he excuses himself with a joke. Can't make this shit up.
Aaron is heavily reliant on the person he's playing off of. On his own, he sounds depressed and bored, and nobody wants to watch someone who sounds bored in their videos. What? What are you looking at me for? So when he complains about a game, his fans will treat what he says as a fact, even if what he's saying isn't true. Aaron defends all the shit he spews out of his mouth by claiming he only does it for the sake of comedy. Looks like a corpse. Like Aaron's wife. Aaron defends all the shit he spews out of his
I'm
mouth
sorry,
by
I went too
claiming
far,
he
I
only
know.
does it for
Are
the
you
sake
sure
of
you don't
comedy.
just
Actually, I'm gonna nab that clip for a good future reference.
All these reasons combine to create a show that has bad hosts, a dying brand, and a boss who's an asshole. And I give it a few more years before Game Grumps looks like a corpse.
Bruh, where was the part about the comedy like you mentioned at the beginning of the video? Okay, moving on. Ellis Mark is just really bad on the defense despite criticizing others for being the same way. He just kind of leaves a comment saying, oh, you took stuff out of context, then expects it to fly until he makes a really ass-pully explanation. Like, what? I mean, look at this chain. He just gets destroyed here. This person just goes through her entire or at least hour and a half long video. Ellis Mark could not come up with a citation because he is allergic to research. Well, this person did. He just hoped that, no one would further investigate so he could actually argue based without any evidence in order to not only say their video is good, brownie points for taking criticism, but also call them a liar so that he looks good too. Everyone wins even though he just lied about them lying. You see what's funny here? At least he takes it like such a champ. Despite the dishonesty as shown here and in his recent content, he's improved by just leaving the shit the fuck alone. Oh boy, those comments. Ugh, damn, that's... Ugh, ugh, get away, later. Oh god, that one's gonna be... Oh, that one hurts. In my teaser for this video, I didn't really have to say much, and I just showed how ridiculous it was for Ellis Mark to go criticizing other people's character designs when he was basically just the same personality on another red-shirted, very done with this world kind of kid design. I can just show you the video instead of explain it to you ad nauseum, so here it is. Also, I'm just gonna defend sensitive ears.
I've seen some pretty bad excuses of people defending their character design.
One day, Ellis Mark was getting really, genuinely pissed at a meme, just commenting that commentary communities try to look really authoritative when they look angry and cross their arms, grr, you've lost. And it's just a joke, and he's getting really critical of it. And he kind of pulls some Sonic OC level shit. They have different expressions and angles in some cases, being my favorite. You could scroll through and see the rest of the argument for yourself, but, I'm more willing to believe Blahnik than anything he presented. God, at least Blahnik is a discernible difference. There's a B in the name. What the hell does different angle or expression even mean? Jesus Christ.
I've seen some pretty bad excuses of people defending their character design. I've seen some pretty bad excuses of people defending their character design. I've seen some pretty bad excuses of people defending their character design.
Thank you, Mark. Memes are repetitive. Thank you for telling us what we already know. Your attempts to roast a meme could have ended a lot worse if you got more attention. Honestly, most of the attention you got was from my video. Count yourself lucky that the internet didn't just destroy you for taking memes way too seriously, and assuming a lot of points about them that weren't explicitly stated. I don't know for sure, but it looks like the comment he posted on top is saying you can't really criticize someone for redundancy if you yourself are being redundant. Meanwhile, he's saying that redundancy is fine on the bottom comment, given that he liked this comment. Okay, this is a stretch. I'm sorry, I'm getting distracted.
Who are you?
It's me, Dylan the Hedgehog. I'm a totally original character.
Then why do you just look like a purple version of me?
Duh. I'm an imperfect clone of you created by Dr. Robotnik. The only difference between us is that I'm a respected member of DeviantArt.
Okay, that's fine.
Also, I'm pregnant with your child.
What?
It's completely original, they're fucking different angles.
I really don't get the complaint of using character stills. Shocking, I know. But when used right, they can be a helpful aid to portray your emotions towards what you're saying, and gives the audience something to look at if there's not much going on screen at that point in time. They're also good at giving yourself more of an identity without having to straight up use your face, which many people who make videos aren't comfortable with doing. Again, it's all about how they're used.
At this point, it's more about personal disagreement, and yes, my original character on screen right now is a parody of this.
It's me, Dylan the Hedgehog.
But the way I see it, people calling others unoriginal while using basically the same pose is a bit funny and ironic. In particular, character design, which, yes, poses are a part of character design. Kind of important, actually. So before any incompetent fool decides to say poses and character design critiques are different, that would have been arbitrary if it was even true. But, you know, poses are literally a part of character design, so it doesn't give you a unique identity if you use the same poses. Like, I mean, there isn't anything innately wrong, but it's funny to make fun of. It's funny as hell. I mean, now the meme's kinda dead-ish, but it's obscure enough that it may rise again. These points are petty, but keep in mind, these are defenses Ellis Mark has for the community as a whole, not just himself.
If a person's video consists of barely any editing, with the only thing on screen being a character PNG that changes every 10 seconds, then fair, complain all you like. But other
What is up with this fucking editing fetish? Why would that be the only reason to complain that would be reasonable? People mock crossing the arms in particular because in terms of body language, it's about as bad as you can get if you want an open discussion. So you're telling me that when you make arguments in aggressive manners, you're going to either be interpreted as being closed for further discussion or just self-conscious?
That just makes no fucking sense. I mean, it's just bullshit. Fuck.
Very recently there's been a plethora of complaints about people using character stills, and by plethora I mean one complaint. And it's that most people use the same base template of poses, mainly the dreaded arm cross. They'll draw a stick figure in 3 or 4 poses they've seen 2 to 3 people use, and act like every single person in the community uses this pose and that they're all unoriginal. It's almost like these are good ways of being expressive with a character for portraying an emotion, and each person does it in their own style. But sorry, that's my fault. I forgot people can own the rights to specific poses, and if one person does it then nobody else can. My bad.
I forgot only one person can own the rights to thin outlines and beady eyes. My bad.
A good character design can help you stand out in the crowd, but from what I've seen many of them prefer to blend in. The most common one I see is thin outlines, a lanky body, and oval beady eyes. I've seen some pretty bad excuses of people defending their character designs.
I've been called a Jaden Animations copycat, but I wear a hoodie, she doesn't.
I don't think this kid is a rip-off of Jaden, but his jacket isn't the reason why. But
Better defense than fucking angles. Okay, I mean, I agree with what he says there, but the comments he's made since then seem like they're bending over backwards to defend his community and maybe himself a bit too much to the point where he's contradicting himself. Maybe I'm splitting hairs, especially since I agree with this statement.
ultimately, a lackluster design isn't the end of the world. This only really annoys me when I see someone downgrade their character design.
This was an early example because at the time it was pretty recent when I was making the script, but it's also pretty blatant since I have hard facts and logic. Get wrecked, libtardios. Is that meme still relevant? Nothing in this fucking script is relevant. Also, if Ellis Mark is gonna predict his criticisms are gonna be bad, I'm just gonna do the same here. Oh my god, no, it's not a real tweet, you dumbasses. But knowing his history with the YouTube comment section, it might as well. It could be. It definitely could be. Usually he responds with, Step 1. Act betrayed that the video made on him was made at all. Usually referencing contacting him because no videos are allowed to be made about him if he disagrees with them. As we all know, Ellis Mark is very good at taking criticism. Quentin reviews bad. He can't take criticism because he didn't respond fast enough. So of course he responded badly and then they attacked. We'll get to that a bit later. Step 2. Sound like bootleg chills. The last thing you want growing on your Burger King lettuce is a small brown stain. Holy fuck, I am dated. Step 3. Complain about a video being 10 minutes instead of being 9 minutes despite, his outro being 20 seconds and barely getting him over 10 minutes. The beginning of the first Quentin review involved him being contradictory towards a lot of the things that Tom supposedly apologized for. And, that's just fucking great because he's just doing the whole white knighty bullshit where he has to actively contradict himself in order to defend him even a bit. So, a lot of this has already been dealt with in my Quentin makes Turkey Tom look bad. Or, I don't know. The Quentin Turkey Tom video I made. I'll still give you a lot of the same information and a rundown so you can catch up.
For the past few months, Quentin has started to shit on commentary channels any chance he can get. It started after VidCon when he went and blocked people like Turkey Tom on Twitter, despite giving him a shout out in an earlier video.
Then we have Turkey Tom, a small commentary channel that I've watched from time to time. He's based in animation and he basically does commentary about whatever he feels like, and he makes me chuckle from time to time. I feel like he has a lot of potential.
After a while he came to Tom and told him that it wasn't anything personal, and he just wanted to distance himself from people like him because they're quote unquote toxic.
Luckily for us, Ellis Mark is going to do this thing called lying by omission and not address anything or any reason for Quentin to have been doing any of this. No, this was completely random, and it was after Mr. Enter's video that you conveniently brought up but didn't explain what the hell it was, where it was basically him saying that Turkey Tom could literally be fucking sued. It's not like that context explains literally everything and justifies everything, is it though? It's not. Bleh.
He then went further to try to excuse the shout out by commenting on Mr. Enter's video with, I knew Tom for a while. He used to email me art when he was just starting out, and I shouted him out once. But I've not been happy with where he's been taking his channel, and I can't really openly support him anymore, which is strange when you take into consideration that Tom never really took his channel in a different direction.
Turkey Tom, he said he was taking his channel in a different direction in October, and his shout out. His shout out, what was it, January of the same year? Huh, did you just... Oh my god, that seems like a bit of a contradiction there, Ellis Martyr. So either you're saying Turkey Tom apologizing for lying is complete bullshit and he's a serial liar still, which is true, or you're saying that what you just said is complete bullshit and Turkey Tom has changed his content a lot recently, and I guess in a more toxic way, but honestly, he's always been a cunt.
He shouted him out as a commentary channel, and what do you know, he's still a commentary channel. He also fails to understand that he himself is a commentary channel, with videos about Leafy is here, Grade A Undered, Channel Awesome, knockoff YouTubers, all videos commenting on other channels. For Christ's sake, his channel description says he makes commentaries.
Good job, Ellis Mark. Him being a commentary channel himself contradicts nothing! You never once showed any evidence that he was targeting all commentary community members. What did Quentin even say that means he's hypocritical for being a commentary channel? It's not like, oh, you're just white knighting all of them. You make every attack against the commentary community or any member about the community as a whole. That's how you always work, Ellis Martyr.
And look, Quentin, it's fine if you want to distance yourself to protect your image, but you don't have to be a cunt about it. Jesus Christ, someone made a freaking video about the tweet I did. Don't you guys have Jake Paul fart to analyze or something? Even though you made a video about Logan Paul a few days before? Well, actually, Mark, that video is only a review of Logan Paul's movie. And I'd agree with you on that if you didn't advertise it as a Logan Paul video. You see, if it were to fit in with his other reviews, it'd be called something like The Thinning 2, Quentin Reviews. You know, like what he did with the first one. But instead it's called Logan Paul's Thinning sequel is terrible.
Okay, this was the part of the video where I was just going fucking brain dead. So you're telling me that this is clickbait and it's not looking like a review of the movie itself, but he has it saying, it says the sequel in the title. Okay, Ellis Mark, you don't seem like the brightest bulb yourself, but how dumb do you think other people are to be like, oh, the sequel to The Thinning? Sequel? What's a sequel? I don't think that means movie. I'm just truly baffled. Like, how is someone not gonna think that's a movie review title? Oh my god, like, what the hell? Of course, mentioning it's about the sequel in the title would lead people to think it's about the sequel. Like, how? God, this got 75% positive ratings, this video. Oh my. Or about that, I'm not great with math. Like, oh my word speaking, but holy shit, this is making me actually fucking dumber. This is so dumb.
With Logan's face taking up 50% of the thumbnail, and a tiny little logo for the film squished into the corner. And again, that's perfectly fine, you can clickbait if he wants to, he's openly admitted to doing so.
Now I'm gonna do you guys a big favor and reveal to you the secret on how to bait people into clicking on your videos. Make clickbait. Okay, so clickbait is, in essence, the idea that you're getting someone to watch your video under false pretenses. You need to do that, but not under false pretenses. Basically, you have to design your content to be worth clicking on without being obnoxious about it.
Oh, and you know Eddie Redmayne's character from Fantastic Beasts and Where to Find Him? He's also a Doctor Who knockoff. Thanks for watching!
But not under false pretenses.
I am officially fucking broken. What? So he skipped the whole video to a clip where it says another character is a Doctor Who ripoff, implying he was talking about others for the other 21 minutes of the video. And that's a false pretense? Ellis Mark, are you an alien because I don't speak your higher language? What are you trying to get across to us mortals? Because you make no fucking sense.
But before making fun of commentary channels for whoring out popular topics for views, take a look at your own channel. Get off your high horse, you're just as bad as the rest of us.
Okay, I guess that makes sense for the criticism. He should have went about that instead of saying that he's hypocritical for calling commentary channels bad or whatever, because, you know, that actually makes sense as a criticism.
There's of course very simple ways for Quentin to stop this criticism, with the biggest one being, just apologise. But no, he couldn't take that strike to his ego. So he'll continue to make his boring, mediocre content and pass off any criticism with a snarky comeback, but that's not going to work forever. Eventually people are going to get fed up. One day he's going to state one of his opinions and treat it as a fact, and he's going to end up annoying his fanbase even more than he's done now. And when that happens, just remember, as a great man once said, our only thought is to entertain you.
So speaking of Turkey Tom and white knighting your precious community in very contradictory and or hypocritical ways, it's time to go back to Dylan Thomas. And this will transition nicely to Staxolotl. Actually, screw it, I'll just make it the beginning of the Staxolotl video. I have one more video to cover from Ellis Mark. Okay, guys? This video would be absolutely incomplete without addressing his responses to the Quentin video, some of which involves trying to counter a point I actually made earlier, so that's interesting. Spoiler alert, it doesn't work!
He mentions that we were all commenting on each other's stuff promoting our own videos, but no. The only thing close to that was me mentioning that I had made one right before Just a Robot uploaded his, but that was more out of me being pissed than wanting his fans to flock to mine.
Okay, how was anyone supposed to know that was him being pissed? It seemed kind of like a joke, like, you know, how you do stuff with Turkey Tom all the time. I mean, you don't really self-promo with, wait, yeah, you do.
Just to touch on this comment from Ellis Mark, which a lot of people took seriously, this comment right here is a joke.
Okay, minor shit is minor, admittedly, but it is adding to consistent inconsistencies, you know? Also, this is ignoring the clip right below him where Manga Comment is doing exactly what Quentin is describing.
But again, even if we did, so what? Oh no, smaller content creators networking with each other. Haha, now everything they said is invalid.
What a straw man. Let's cut to Staxolotl for some better support, because, my god, that straw man's so thin and weak, it's gonna get blown by the wind if we don't.
Yeah. When it comes to the commentary community and finding out what they want to talk about, what they're going to do is just take something so minor, like a drama of the week, and go with it. And what these people do is they find something like the whole Quentin Reviews thing. They're going to find something on Quentin Reviews, talk about it, and then they're going to get their friends to talk about this thing about Quentin Reviews to make it seem a lot bigger than it actually is. Now, I'm not inherently saying the things that Quentin does deserves this type of behavior. I'm not saying it doesn't, because I wasn't too involved in this sort of thing. I didn't really care for it. But the whole part about this is that you have this small...
And then later, like about 5 minutes later in the video...
in a few groups with these commentary community people, with several different people, some of them overlap in different groups, you know, yada, yada, yada. And I've come to realize that there's a weird little mentality that goes on in these group calls. There are people that joke, you know, have casual conversation, and I actually enjoy reading these sorts of things. I'm not very active in any of them, but when I do participate, it's mostly just, you know, lighthearted humor. But every now and again, when people are sort of like on a dry spell when it comes to making these videos, they begin to talk with each other. And it's when they talk with each other in these dry spells that really gets concerning, because you have some people that get really excited when it comes to finding new drama to talk about, and they laugh about it, and they start building up all this evidence for it, just for some video that they can finally put out and have like several thousand views on it. And it gets to a point where it turns from one person having this dry spell, you know, finding this new video to go for, and, you know, building up this evidence for it, and then 2 people join in, and they start building evidence for it, and they start like joining in on this whole thing, building this small thing up and making it bigger than it's supposed to be. And then 3 people, and then they get into this huge conversation about, we're going to release these things, we're going to put them out in the same sequence, you know, make it into a bigger deal than it needs to be. I've seen groups where it's like, okay, I have my video ready. Does anyone else have their videos ready? And they'll say, yeah. And they're like, okay, we're going to release it on this day. And then they release it on this day, and then they test out if it gets enough views. They're going to be like, okay, my video got enough views. No, you release your video to make this into a bigger deal and ride this bandwagon out. And this is just a very bad mentality, because they're intentionally stirring up a bandwagon to continue talking about this and to continue helping each other feed their views and stirring up this drama to make even more videos about it. It goes from 1 video that catches wind, and then 2 videos come out, and then 3 videos come out the next day. And then all of a sudden, other commentators come in that are outside of this little group, notice these things are catching wind, and then they join in. And then they have their friends make it. And it becomes such a huge thing, a huge bubble of, you know, a bubble of nothingness, just because this one video got a little bit of a spark, and then they got their friends to make a video on it. And it turns this nothing issue into just the whole bandwagon of the week or bandwagon of the month.
I mean, an ex-commentary community member confirmed it to be true, so I don't really see why not, you know. Well, maybe this particular situation wasn't like that, but it's pretty obvious that a lot of the stuff is intentional conspiring, given that people make the same videos about the same topics, and a lot of them happen to be friends. This isn't that far-fetched. Actually, before I even move on to the rest of the Quentin response video, I kind of want to go on a tangent myself, because this is just the perfect opportunity to talk about their fallback, which further confirms LS Mark as being a bit of a scumbag here. Okay, first of all, is that really that much of a huge lie to be 30 to 45 seconds completely off topic as considered a huge tangent? By the way, that is 5% of a video. It's not much, but it can be considered pretty big. The racial part specifically was 2 minutes, and the tangent about Aaron Hansen was probably 2/3 the video. It might not be scripted, but he was definitely right in saying that you were pretty dishonest a few times, and also we're kind of, you know, not talking about it being unfunny as much as it being controversial, and about how much you hate Aaron.
Let's take, for example, Ellis Mark's whole Game Grumps thing. No, I'm not saying the video was bad, I'm not saying it was good, I'm just using it as an example. But the whole thing about his video is that he's saying that Game Grumps isn't funny, but then he goes on this huge side tangent about the time Aaron Hansen and Susie said the N-word, which was like... What? The stream he found was in 2007, I believe. It was in the early 2000s, and just to go that deep to find one small example is just... It blows my mind thinking that you would dig so far just to make a point that probably doesn't mean anything at the topic of the video. Literally, the title of his video says, Game Grumps isn't funny anymore. And then he talks about Aaron Hansen and these people saying these things that...
Took a quote from his famous grade under a video. If someone having an opinion not like yours makes you convulse in anger or sends you into a deep rage, planning on what quick zinger to throw at to end the conversation then and there, to make you the universal winner, or if someone bringing up a good point sends you into Terminator scanning mode, trying to find that one attack point where you can swipe in and destroy that person's reputation, please stop, and try to act like an adult for once in your life.
Now that's a huge tangent. Back to the video.
Also, nice job at trying to make yourself look bigger than all the people criticizing you by calling them guppies. You see, it's like me trying to make you look sad and pathetic by calling you an overweight neckbeard with unibrow.
Would have been a better roast if you weren't cowering behind a computer screen image. Yes, insult people's looks while hiding behind an avatar. That'll show 'em. That's a better roast than Guppies.
I really don't get the complaint of using character stills. Shocking, I know. But when used right, they can be a helpful aid to portray your emotions towards what you're saying, and gives the audience something to look at if there's not much going on screen at that point in time. They're also good at giving yourself more of an identity without having to straight up use your face, which many people who make videos aren't comfortable with doing.
Such a fecking badass. He's insulting someone's appearance while not only putting a commentary still in front of the screen to not show his face, but he literally admits that some people, implicitly him, are uncomfortable with showing their face. So, how many rocks are you throwing in that glass house of yours? Also, do not give me that bullshit of, oh, he started it. Well, if he started it, you should have given a better retort, and not something you can't back up without being a little wuss who can't even show his face after insulting other people's faces, and implying you're heavily self-conscious with a statement you made in addition to insulting other people's looks. While hiding behind an avatar, like, are you shitting me right now?
Thinks that his bigotry someone makes him a morally righteous person, and that his hatred of Trump someone makes him anything more than a mediocre at best commentary channel that pretends to be a reviewer, to convince himself that he hasn't wasted his life making shitty Doctor Who reviews.
You did prove that his Doctor Who reviews were very shitty by skipping to the last sentence before the credits, like, wow, good job, Mark. If you're making fun of him for having childish desires in his channel, then, to be fair, I do prefer this content.
An analysis of all the YouTubers who are infinitely more interesting and talented than he could ever hope to be, or that his bashing of all the people he doesn't like and his deleting of tweets that will cause any form of controversy doesn't show his evident insecurities.
LS Mark criticizes Quentin for being, self-conscious, funny, for deleting his tweets constantly, but, another person he references as being in the right for calling Quentin out on many other things also has admitted to deleting tweets, so what makes Quentin different? I don't fucking know. I think it's just because LS Mark is targeting him and not Emblem in this video.
Is that harsh enough? I mean, why else would he mention the fact that we're small? If you're implying that smaller channels shouldn't be able to talk about you and your controversies, then shouldn't that apply to you?
How did any of that imply smaller channels aren't allowed to talk about bigger channels? The tweet he highlighted just mentioned casually that they were a bunch of small channels. I don't think that was a big point made. It was just a word in there. That wasn't the focus of the sentence. That was just an adjective. Like, seriously, Ellis Mark, stop making me like the people that I kind of think were in the wrong because your criticisms are just that bad. Because yes, I think Quentin was in the wrong here. I think a lot of the people he's talking about were absolutely either in the wrong. I don't think Game Grumps are funny. But no, Ellis Mark, I just ended up empathizing with them because his criticisms are just that trash.
Like I predicted in my initial video, he just dances around them. But no, he couldn't take that strike to his ego. So he'll continue to make his boring, mediocre content and pass off any criticism with a snarky comeback. Again, it's because he knows he has no real way to respond. Because he's a pussy and he knows he's in the wrong. So is that all? What else does Quentin have to share in his infinite wisdom? If you make fun of someone's appearance online and you haven't done a face reveal, you're ugly. What? He's so fucking dumb.
And to prove this, Ellis Mark is going to show how not ugly he is after calling other people ugly, right? Right? Right?
The Turkey Tom didn't really change the direction of his channel, to which people replied, he means that Tom has gotten edgier in his videos, like with the Mr. Enter and Digibro videos. He unfollowed Tom before those videos came out.
Yeah, but you were talking about him blocking Tom, and also a comment that came out way after those videos.
But anyway, for the past few months, Quentin has started to shit on commentary channels any chance he can get. It started after VidCon when he went and blocked people like Turkey Tom on Twitter, despite giving him a shout out in an earlier video.
Then we have Turkey Tom, a small commentary channel that I've watched from time to time. He's based in animation and he basically does commentary about whatever he feels like, and he makes me chuckle from time to time. I feel like he has a lot of potential.
After a while he came to Tom and told him that it wasn't anything personal, and he just wanted to distance himself from people like him because they're quote-unquote toxic. He then went further to try excuse the shout-out by commenting on Mr. Enter's video with, I knew Tom for a while. He used to email me art when he was just starting out, and I shouted him out once. But I've not been happy with where he's been taking his channel, and I can't really openly support him anymore.
In other words, unfollowing him had nothing to do with what you said, and also the comment he replied to happened way after those videos you mentioned.
When Quentin told Tom that people like him were toxic, he was making videos like the problems of Reddit and the problems of DeviantArt.
Wow, what a totally not edgy and try-hard video, the problems with DeviantArt. Let's take a look, shall we?
Examples like Spockter Theory, the guy who was getting weird with a little kid. Others would find amusement in the pitying and ridiculing various gremlins that dwell in the dark depths of these pages. Find it hard to respect you or take you seriously if the one interest that you dedicate yourself to is Sonic. You have a right to enjoy your weird shit, but I'm still going to look at you and laugh. Ever drawing art like this or being obsessed with something to the point that my entire being and existence is based on this one fictional property. So to a certain extent, I do find it kind of repulsive that there's nothing more to a lot of these people than the piece of media that they like. I find it pathetic that people would dedicate their entire lives to one movie, game series, or specific video game, or something so all kinds of people can come from far and wide, including the gross, festering ghouls who belong in a fucking jar, not allowed to roam free, much less drawing started on Sav Draws. I despise Sav Draws.
I am super excited to tell you guys that I got testosterone.
Examples like Spockter Theory, the guy who was getting weird with a little kid. But you ruined my fucking show, and I'm definitely going to make fun of you for it. Are pretty repulsive and gross to the point where it's not even amusing or entertaining to make fun of them. Instead, you can just sort of pity their miserable existence into doodle pounds. I have been aware of this creature's existence for a while, having festered for such a long period of time, and has become chronic, and therefore it is constantly leaking and aching and birthing forth all sorts of treats for us to examples like Spockter Theory. Getting started on Sav Draws. I despise Sav Draws.
I am super excited to tell you guys that I got testosterone.
Last time I checked, and correct me if I'm wrong, but I'm pretty sure Quentin does not have the ability to see into the future, and no Tom would accuse Mr. Enter of being a pedophile.
I mean, unfollowing someone after they called someone a pedophile falsely in a video isn't too far-fetched, though. You don't have to be a psychic to be like, oh, you did it once, you might do it again. Also, calling someone obese, like, Spetchy thing, also making fun of people's looks, like, this is basically... This video you said was innocent at the time. It's really not. It's basically just every other edgy Tom video combined into one mess. And you say it like it was one time. It was more than just the freaking Mr. Enters getting called a pedophile thing. That's just the only one you guys are willing to take the L on because other people made such a big deal out of it. Trust me, he did a lot worse. In fact, the allegations were probably had more legal legs to stand on with the Digibro video, yet no one mentions that. Why? Because it's not as popular, because Mr. Enter didn't beat you guys with that. Digibro was just mocked like he usually was. Of course, this is ignoring that Tom is also just a serial liar. If you have an hour and 10 minutes to spare of a 17-year-old bullying a 16-year-old bully, that's the video for you. It's a pretty good video in my eyes. So yeah, LS Mark failed to defend his White Knight defense against Turkey Tom, so what a surprise. Even if he was right, you're still bitching about someone unfollowing you. I can't imagine it getting much more pathetic than that, since you guys like to use that word so much.
He did this to Tom before that video was released. Do you think that people ever just check what they're saying is actually true before commenting?
Please tell me the contradiction. So overall, LS Mark was a lying commentary community member with poorly thought out and misconstruing arguments to make others look bad and in order to make himself look better, and most importantly, to White Knight his fellow commentary reviewers, which, once we get to the right opinion, hopefully, will become a much bigger problem then. Here's the thing, though. He's not like that anymore. In fact, there's gonna be some criticisms a lot against him that he has since amended for, but I still think are important for noting the hypocritical, let's white knight our community, guys, while saying that others can't white knight them. Right opinion. Okay, but yeah, that's it. So I guess check out his new stuff if you're into his new stuff, but don't let him just get away with this shit, okay? At least let it be known, and don't just share, subscribe, or whatever. I mean, I'm sure you're smart enough to figure that out on your own, but I've just seen statistics saying that people are more successful if you remind them. Maybe there are some actual robots amongst real people in there. Knowing the YouTube comment system, probably true, honestly. But yeah, I suggest sharing this with a lot more people and getting some more feedback. Maybe even Alice Mark himself, you know? That would be pretty epic. So, sayonara. I guess I'll see you with Staxolotl. Your reward for getting this far into the video are being able to click on some things, and also pain, and even more mic pops. Cringe at me dancing. It is fucking awful and cringy. This is 2019, so instead I will say,
it was inducing.
Bye.